Lewis Hamilton's controversial move to Ferrari did not come without any thorough thinking about his future with Mercedes. And now that the dust has settled, there's been some factors that the fans and the experts might have missed a couple of months ago that did hold the truth about Hamilton's devotion to Mercedes and how it fell off. The most important thing is that Hamilton signed the contract without even testing out the 2024 version of Mercedes' car or the W15 in Bahrain, where all the questions would have been answered. But he signed the contract a couple of days after admitting to have tried it in the simulator. So, how did Hamilton feel about the W15? And what does that say for Mercedes in their journey of building a championship-winning car without Hamilton modelling it? One of the biggest bombshell moves in the sport has now settled down, and we can look at the things with a cool head. So let's start with the most obvious clue as to why Hamilton left Mercedes for Ferrari: the performance of the W15. Hamilton admitted to doing some simulator work regarding the W15 after receiving feedback from the simulator driver of Mercedes, Anthony Davidson, that the car finally feels like a car. Everything coming from the team was positive, so the last thing that they, and quite frankly Hamilton, expected to see is a car that didn't meet the expectations in the simulator. Wolff tried to debunk this theory by saying that Hamilton tested out the car after signing the contract with Ferrari, but considering the fact that the 7-time world champion expressed his wish to stay with Mercedes for many more years just a couple of weeks ago, this is kind of hard to believe. And if Hamilton saw something wrong in the simulator, then it must have been a cardinal mistake from the team, because we must not forget that this is the same simulator that failed to warn the team about the extensive porpoising issue back in 2022. Hamilton has very likely lost faith in the W15 as soon as he sat in its virtual version, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. The 2024 cars will be more or less the same ones that the team will drive in 2025, as all of the grid will be paying a lot of attention to the newly regulated era from 2026 onwards. So apart from the W15 not being the product Hamilton desired, he could have easily connected 2 and 2 and realised that Mercedes might not actually be competitive in 2025 either, which was sort of a precautionary measure he took when he signed the contract with the team, as he left a clause that can be opened in order for him to depart into another squad from 2025 onwards. Unfortunately for Mercedes, that clause has come up on the shore, and Hamilton will now have to drive an entire season in a car that he doesn't feel suits his needs. Yes, Wolff said that Mercedes will treat both drivers fairly in the 2024 season, and there's always the scenario of 2006, when Alonso announced before the start of the season that he'll be leaving for McLaren in 2007, and the team still went on to win a championship together. However, what Hamilton is facing with Mercedes right now is much different, and his move to Ferrari speaks volumes about where his priorities stand. So, what can Mercedes do right now in order to save what can be saved in terms of intel, data, and personnel not being transferred to Ferrari? Hamilton is very likely to be prohibited from visiting the factories in Brackley and Brixworth somewhere around the summer break, and the same situation would be applied to Sainz. But with such a strictly regulated era, and with Hamilton being a vital part of what happened with Mercedes in the past couple of years, I doubt that there'll be many things that Mercedes could hide from Hamilton, as he already knows everything he needs, judging by the unexpected move he made. He was definitely not the first one to leave Mercedes for Ferrari in the past couple of years. The path was paved by the former head of vehicle performance at Mercedes, Loic Serra, who did not agree with the approach that the ex-technical director Mike Elliott took with developing the W13 and the W14 in certain directions. Hamilton also asked for more responsibility regarding the performance of the W15, so it's safe to assume that just like Serra, he was gruntled that nobody in the team seemed to have listened to what he had to say, and all of the technical staff reshuffle came a bit too late for the Brackley-based squad. But according to Wolff, there has been a lot of science behind developing the W15, and the input of the drivers is definitely not the final determinant that makes the car competitive, although it must not be underappreciated under any circumstances. Elaborating on Hamilton's departure from Ferrari being connected to the testing of the W15 in the simulator, Wolff said, "First of all, the car has been developed in the team with a lot of science and a lot of data, and the driver gives us guidance on what he feels in the car, and then this is being dissected and then decided whether it happens or not. So we must not underplay nor overplay the input of a driver and the development of a car. In terms of did we miss? No, everything that we are doing with consciousness and open eyes, and we felt that a longer-term contract would limit our options going forward, so absolutely aware of all the positives and negatives weighing it up. That is what we decided to do." Hamilton was definitely in closer contact with Serra before signing the contract with Ferrari, not only because the Maranello team is the only one having an opening from 2025 onwards apart from Red Bull, who firmly stated they have no interest in pairing Verstappen and Hamilton in the same team, but also because it's someone Hamilton shares the same opinion with. Therefore, if Sarah fell in love with the project the Ferrari had in mind, then it's certain that the W15 was nowhere near comparable with the car that Ferrari will take out on the field. And what's even more important, the W16, which as I said earlier in this video will be more or less a copy of the W15, is going to do more or less of the same job as the car in 2024. Trusted technical sources informed the media that once Serra announced his departure for Ferrari, he took a huge part of the engineers working in Brackley with himself. Therefore, this is to be expected to happen with Hamilton's departure as well. So it will be some kind of small Mercedes reunion down in Brackley, with the real question being, could Mercedes have prevented all of this from happening? According to Damon Hill, Hamilton's expertise has definitely determined that there would be a downfall in Mercedes if they continued with this development rate, which is why he made a move similar to the one he made back in 2013, leaving a dominant McLaren for a team that was struggling with the competitiveness in Mercedes. Adding to this matter, the 1996 world champion said, "Hamilton's got an instinct. He's got a racer's instinct as to which way the wind blows. I think he may have actually pulled a blinder, just like he did when he left McLaren and went to Mercedes." Apart from making the W15 far more competitive in simulator terms, Mercedes could have done one more thing that would have kept Hamilton satisfied, and that is make him the ambassador of the team. But as Wolff said, the team felt like a longer-term contract would have obliged both sides to something they didn't want, which hints out that even Mercedes didn't have the utmost trust in Hamilton to be their next champion. Otherwise, they would have acted on this matter like Ferrari did with Leclerc or Red Bull did with Verstappen. On top of that, it seems like Hamilton is set to bag $100 million per year with Ferrari, which is definitely a sum that will make him the highest-paid Formula One athlete of all time. The question is, will it be worth it in terms of winning a championship, and will Mercedes be sorry that they didn't offer him what he asked for? Reports stated that the 7-time world champion asked for a 5-year contract with Mercedes in terms of driving, and then a 10-year contract being the ambassador of the team and promoting the business on all fronts possible. This was to be expected from Hamilton, considering the fact that he successfully runs an organisation that fights for the rights of minorities, known as Project 44. One that he also required Mercedes to pay a certain percentage of his salary to. But regardless, this is all in the past now, and Hamilton is focused on the future, one that he's been warned might not be the brightest by Martin Brundle. According to the Sky F1 pundit, the issues in Ferrari were all but the driver's lineup fault. And although the driver's mistakes were present from time to time, we could often hear how the team botched its own tactics and made upgrades that just seemed to have taken them in a downward spiral. Elaborating on Hamilton's move to Ferrari, something that was present as a rumour in the F1 world ever since May last year, Brundle went on to say, "With my Sky F1 cap on and my F1 cap on, I would love to see Lewis in a Ferrari and go there and try and do a Michael Schumacher and win championships there. I think it would be a wonderful story for next year. You would think that Hamilton would fix all of Ferrari's issues, but I'm a fan of Sainz as well. They've got a very dynamic young partnership there. Ferrari's problem at the moment is not their driver's lineup, it's their car. It's not fast enough. So that's where they need to focus. Lewis Hamilton can't just turn up and sort Ferrari's issues out single-handedly by pressing the throttle pedal and turning the steering wheel." With this in mind, what do you think about Hamilton's move to Ferrari? Do you think he made the right call? And more importantly, do you think he can cement his legacy by winning the 8th record-breaking championship with the Maranello squad? Let us know in the comments below.